Horses are part of our American culture. Horses provided assistance in every aspect of what we've done. They fought wars for us. They delivered our mail. They, were our transportation.
As a symbol of our pioneering forefathers, Mustangs are at the heart of American culture. The ideal state for these horses is wild and free, but modern-day reality has stepped in and insisted that we take measures to protect these horses.
Anytime we have indiscriminate breeding going on with any animal, that's an issue.
The Wild Horse and Burro Act of 1971 states that as a means of protecting these horses, the Bureau of Land Management must implement population control.
In the overall picture, we really need to look at how do we control the numbers of the herds.
Beth DiCaprio is the director of the Grace Foundation of Northern California, whose work has extended from domesticated horses into wild Mustangs.
When I started the organization, we were really addressing the need for a place for horses to go. Shelters are really good with the small animals, but they're overwhelmed with that, and there was a real need for large animals assistance.
But in 2009, DiCaprio received a call that would change her work forever.
But 2 years ago, we were called by the Humane Society of the United States on a case that involved, it was over 200 Mustangs. It was out of Nebraska. The Mustangs had been brought from all over the country. When they got there, it was a guy who had taken in third strike Mustangs when they're pulled off the range, and they go through an auction. And in an auction, when a horse goes through 3 times, that horse is considered a third strike or deemed unadoptable. And that horse goes from being the property of the BLM to a sale authority horse, which means that it can be sold at auction. And the other part of it is that they do what, like a scarlet letter, in my opinion, where there's a large U that's put at the end of their freeze brand and identifies them as the third strike. Doesn't mean that that horse has had any type of problem with temperament. It just means that they had gone through 3 times. But what he had done is to take these Mustangs, was saying that he was going to sanctuary them, and unfortunately he didn't feed them. It was a very remote area, and a helicopter happened to fly over, and they saw what was going on, and these animals were seized. And we were called in to rehab them, to geld them, to do all of that, and rehome them. But my goal was, if we have these third strike Mustangs that have had no formal training, that are deemed unadoptable, and we're able to rehome those, that clearly to me is an indication that there still is placement for these animals.
The Grace Foundation went to aid in rescuing the horses that survived the tragedy in Nebraska. The geldings were sent to Texas, where the foundation spent 9 months rehabbing and rehoming a remarkable 50 horses. They brought back more than 45 of the geldings to California, where they have already rehomed an additional 30 and counting.
And can you believe this little boy was absolutely screaming nuts wild? I got in the corral with my bag of goodies and sat on that salt block, and he was like, "Holy moly, what are you?"
Ringo was once a wild Mustang, but after training with the Grace Foundation, he is ready to be adopted.
And he is really trying hard. He's inquisitive, like all babies are. And he's just got my heart, is what he does.
The Grace Foundation hopes that these Mustangs will have the hearts of more adopters, even though adoptions are down 40% in the last 5 years. Until then, the nonprofit will continue to care for some of this country's seemingly unadoptable Mustangs.